With us on the line is Michael Nugent. I hope I pronounced that correctly. He's a writer from Dublin and chairperson for Atheist Ireland. Good afternoon and welcome to the Drivetime Show, Michael. Did I get that right? Michael Nugent, or is it Nugent?
You did it. It's Nugent, yes.
Oh,
it's originally French in the context of a European integration debate.
So it should be Nugent.
It could be, indeed, yeah.
All right, Michael, great to have you on. What are your views on the surprise wins for Brexit and Trump? My personal one is Trump was very surprising. Brexit, not so much. Why do you think people voted for less mainstream options?
Well, I'm disappointed with both results. I would have supported Remain and Hillary Clinton, but I wasn't particularly surprised. I think the best description I've seen of the Trump win is that his opponents took him literally but not seriously, and his supporters took him seriously but not literally.
Yeah.
So, for example, his opponents were thinking, this man is a buffoon, you can't build a wall all the way across the Mexican border. And his supporters were thinking, well, of course he won't build a wall, but he's strong in immigration. So I don't think either result should have been too surprising. I think the media underestimated the support for both and caused people to be more surprised than they should have been. But the other thing is, I don't think either result reflects any major change in either British or American society. Like, it was essentially very close, approximately 1/3 each for the winner, the loser, and those who didn't vote. So a slight swing either way would have changed the results, but it wouldn't have changed society.
Michael, we talk about the rapid increase of hate crimes, especially after these political changes, and also one of the victims, of course, are Muslims in Europe and the United States of America. How dangerous do you think that is to the society that we live in?
The first thing I would say is I don't think the phrase hate crime is a good phrase. I think it's counterproductive. It lets people off the hook who are not motivated by hate, and it lets people off the hook who have not committed crimes, because they will correctly say, we're not hate criminals. I think a better term for what we're talking about is prejudice-motivated behaviour, or if it's a crime, prejudice-motivated crime, because the prejudice, which is the internal motivation, is what we need to challenge, and that can be hatred, but it could also be just immature bullying, tribal paranoia, revenge for some real or imagined injustice. So that's what we need to be challenging. It's far wider than hate. And I think by focusing just in on the hate, we let a lot of people off the hook who are part of the problem but don't realise that they are.
Okay. Michael, yesterday there was a news article which spoke about the lack of integration in the UK. If I would ask you, who is to be blamed for this? I mean, doesn't integration require both sides to kind of work together? Does the onus of integration fall on the immigrants or citizens to help immigrants integrate? Can you pinpoint, or are both of this together? And who is to be blamed, according to you?
I think integration is important, but I think it should be integration into human rights values, not into the native values of any society. If I was living in Saudi Arabia today, or if I was living in South Africa under apartheid, I wouldn't agree to integrate into the values of those societies.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we should be trying to get everyone, whether they're native-born or immigrants, to integrate into values like compassion and empathy and cooperation and reciprocity and fairness and justice and human rights. And I think that if we focus on those rather than where people come from, then we have a stronger case to argue that these are the values that we should be trying to get people to integrate into.
Michael, so just lastly there, what should communities and people of different faiths and people of different communities as well do to sort of build bridges now? I mean, how can we eradicate, as you mentioned, prejudice?
Well, I think ideally by bringing people together who have different or overlapping identities to work together on common goals. Atheist Ireland has a unique alliance here in Ireland between Atheist Ireland, the Evangelical Alliance of Ireland, and the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in Ireland, as three groups with very different worldviews, but we're all discriminated against by the state in terms of the lack of separation of church and state, particularly in schools. So I think it's important to work together. I think we also have to make a distinction between, like I was saying earlier, between the prejudice and behaviour. We can only change prejudice and bias by education and by community leadership and social pressure. We can't change how people think and feel by making it illegal, but we can change discrimination and violence by making it illegal, and so we need to make that distinction. And I think it's important that we don't become what we are challenging, that we don't, while challenging prejudice, become prejudiced against people who don't think like us. And the final thing I'd say, I think it's important to challenge prejudice against individual Muslims, But it's also important to be able to support criticism of human rights abuses by Islamist regimes and not conflate those two things together, so that if you're criticising, for example, how Islamist regimes in the Middle East treat women, treat gay Muslims, treat Ahmadi Muslims, treat people of other religions living there, that's not Islamophobic. That's not anti-Muslim. Most of the victims of those type of prejudices are Muslims.
Absolutely. I do agree with you on that one. Michael Nugent, writer from Dublin and chairperson for Atheist Ireland. It's good to talk to you and great to have you on the show. Thank you once again.
You're welcome.